join me in prayer? Father, we are here today to ask for your blessings and guidance in the performance of our duties as elected officials. We pray for strength, love, knowledge, and understanding. Help us to recognize and solve the problems that are presented. Make our solutions fair and just to the best interest of everyone. Help us to overcome our shortcomings and keep us united as a team to work for the betterment of the city and its people. We pray in your name. Amen.
Thank you very much. Next item is approval of agenda, and I will ask the commissioners if they're okay with this. We've been requested on item number 5, our annual report, to move it up to number 3. Mr. Irvin, who's with us, is from out of town, and give him the courtesy of heading home. So if that's okay, an approval for the agenda, and that slight change is in order.
So move with the adjustment.
Second. We have a motion second. Mr. Holberg and Ms. Ward, I believe. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
I'm
In favor.
I'm
okay.
in.
All right.
He thought it was the last item.
All right. First portion of our agenda is the presentation and delegation section. Number 1 is to consider a proclamation honoring Dr. Randall Peters, who will be retiring from Southern Crescent Technical College January 1st, 2017, and declaring November 17th 2016 to be Dr. Randall L. Peters Day.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion approved in a second. I will say this for those of you might not know Dr. Peters. He's been an incredibly great president of our Southern Crescent Technical College, and I will be reading this proclamation at his retirement ceremony on the 17th. So in the meantime, we'll be approving it, and it's being framed for presentation on a date. So anything else? If not, all in favor, please raise your hand. It is affirmative 6-0. Item number 2 is to recognize the 2016 Model Water Tower Competition Award winners, and Joseph Johnson, our Deputy Director of Water Wastewater, will address. Good evening, Joe.
Good evening. As you know, this is the second year that the water department has sponsored the Model Water Tower for the Griffin Spalding school system. We've partnered with GAWP and the Griffin Spalding school system and our volunteers of Delta Municipal, PF Moon, which is a contractor of ours, Neptune, and Paragon Consulting. Without their help and Barbara King with the school system, this wouldn't be possible. The Model Water Tower competition is a way where kids are able to learn water conservation techniques, engineering principles as associated with functioning water towers. As you see, these are the 3 water towers that won. This is first place, second place, and third place. They're judged on structural efficiency, hydraulics. They have a presentation section where they have to actually answer questions from judges. And it was a great day for our volunteers, which were the majority of the volunteers were our water and wastewater staff and City of Griffin personnel. So without further ado, we're going to present the awards and have the kids come up here and be recognized. We'll start off with third place first. Third place of the water tower competition was a team, and it was the Jets. Can I have the Jets? Oh, by the way, in order to put a little pep in their step, we decided to give them $300 for first place, $200 for second place, and $100 for third place.
Fantastic.
So there is a monetary incentive.
Thank you.
All right.
before you go to the Jets, you kind of got away from us, but young folks, we want you to know we're proud of you and thank you for taking part in this. We recognize your honor there.
All right, the second place.
Joseph, make sure we know who they are, too. I'm not sure I caught their names.
Well, we had Macy. Macy, what's your last name? Macy Jess.
Macy, what?
We had Robert Pugh, and the third person, sorry, sir. Ethan West.
Okay, very good, folks. Thank
All
you.
right. The next two are, the first and second place were actually individuals. And I guess I should have prefaced with the fact that they could either work as a group, which would be 4 members, up to 4 members, or they could do it individually. And so the second place winner, which is the Mickey Mouse tank, is Cameron Cheeves.
Cameron, all right.
Can you put his tank in front of him?
That is very clever.
Selfie.
That's the other thing.
Selfie. Gotta get a visual.
The Jets need to get that tank in front of him, too. You can borrow it from Brian.
Thank you, Cameron. Congratulations.
Good job, sir. Good job, young man.
Good job.
And the first place winner goes to Austin Ridgway.
Put his tank up there.
Oh.
Jump up, yeah. I'm just guessing that's a proud parent. Great job, Austin. Congratulations. Thank you, Joseph. This is, I think, one of our fine projects to get young people involved in this and stream cleanup and other things. And we're looking forward to you young folks be the next generation of people to sit up here. So we're looking for our replacements. Good job. Item number 3, the new 3, if you will, is to present the annual audit results and comprehensive annual financial report for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2016. Our CFO officer, Marcus Schwab, will address along with David Irwin, the CPA of Alding Jenkins. Good morning, or good evening, Marcus.
Good evening. We have David Irwin, who is the principal on our audit here today. He's here to deliver the report and his findings, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
We're
David?
confident. Thank you, David.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Irwin. I'm with Malden Jenkins. I'm a partner who oversaw this year's audit of the city's financial statements. And
Will you pull that microphone a little straighter around you? There, we get a little better read there. Thank
okay.
you.
All right. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all this evening to discuss the results of this year's audit. In addition to the financial statements themselves, I believe you all have been distributed something we call our auditor's discussion analysis, small documents like this.
We have.
This document will provide you some general information on who we are as a firm. It will summarize what I'll be discussing with you here this evening, and it'll also give you a synopsis of some upcoming GASB standards that will be implemented in the upcoming years. That being said, for the most part, I'm just going to give you a walkthrough of the financial statements. If you have the financial statements available, please have those readily available if you have them. Now, the financial statements themselves are the responsibility of the city's management and members of the city council. Our responsibility as your auditor is to express an opinion on these statements. We conducted our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and governmental auditing standards, and I'm happy to say that we're issuing a clean or unmodified opinion on this year's report. This is what you want. What this means is, in our opinion, the financial statements are fairly stated in all mature respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. As was the case in the prior year, this year's audit, once again, it went extremely well. I think this is actually the smoothest audit yet that we've had with you all. We started audit fieldwork the Tuesday after Labor Day. Marcus Chuck and their staff. They had everything ready that we asked for when we arrived, and we were able to get the audit completed and finalized by October 17th. That's a pretty quick turnaround for a city the size of you all. You consider what all you have going on financially. And it was completed 3 weeks earlier than we did last year, and I believe it's the earliest this audit's ever been completed. So that's just a testament to your staff, the hard work they did this year. I just want to thank them for that. In addition to you all receiving a clean opinion, we didn't have any audit findings again this year. This is the second year in a row we didn't have any audit findings. I believe I mentioned this to you all last year, but I think good news is always worth repeating. We as a firm audit around 300 governments throughout the Southeast. Of those 300 audits, traditionally we have around 80% of them have audit findings. So for you all to have had no audit findings for the second year in a row, again, speaks volumes about the hard work done by your staff. We've always found Kenny, Marcus, and Chuck very receptive to any changes or suggestions that we have. They're always looking for ways to improve. They're proactive rather than reactive. If they have a question, they're in constant communication with me throughout the year if they have anything they have a question about, because they want to make sure it's done right the first time. They don't wait until we come out here for the audit to address any questions or concerns they have. And by doing that throughout the year, by having that communication, addressing any questions they have, it results in an efficient and timely audit. And we saw that this year with the audit being completed in the quickest that we've had it done in several years, if ever. So once again, I just want to thank them for their hard work this year. Now for a brief overview of the financial statements. You all prepare what's called a comprehensive annual financial report, otherwise known as a CAFR. A CAFR goes far beyond the basic financial reporting requirements. It provides some additional general information in the front of the document on the city's structure and the services it provides. It also has a statistical section at the end of the document that is quite useful in assessing the city's economic condition. A lot of financial and demographic information in the back that covers multiple years. So it's a good way of seeing where you've been, where you are, and hopefully where you're going financially. The city's CAFR is submitted annually to the Government Finance Officers Association, the GFOA, and you all were once again awarded the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for 2015, and that certificate is included in this year's document. I believe this was the 12th year in a row that you all have received this award, so congratulations to you all on that. Now for a brief overview of financial statements. After our audit report in the financial statements, which is on pages 1 through 3, is something called a management discussion analysis, otherwise known as an MD&A. It's on page 4 of the report. It's 9 or so pages long. If you read only one section of the financial report, I strongly encourage you to read the MD&A. This is written by management. It does a really good job of summarizing and introducing the basic financial statements. It also provides an analytical overview of the city's activities. So, like I said, there's a lot of information in this document. If you only read one section, please read the MD&A. After the MD&A are the city's basic financial statements. They're broken into 3 components. Like I said, if you have the financial statements, if you turn to page 13, you'll see the first component, which is the government-wide financial statements. This is the statement of net position, otherwise known as the balance sheet in the private sector. The government-wide financial statements, they provide a broad view of the city's operations, similar to what you would see in a private sector business. This component includes both the city's governmental activities as well as the business-type activities, and it also includes the city's 4 component units. As of June 30, the city had total assets of $239.3 million, which was around $30 million higher than the prior year. The majority of which, as you would expect, are your capital assets, net of accumulated depreciation. That totaled around $150 million for the year. The city had total liabilities of $114.8 million, 97.3 of which were classified as long-term liabilities. The long-term liabilities did increase this year by around $14 million compared to prior year. That's due to the issuance of the obligation sales tax bonds, as well as the increase of approximately $3.8 million in the city's net pension liability. If you all recall, last year, implementation of GAS 68, we had to put the city's net pension liability in the books for the first time. The city ended the year with a net position of approximately $131.5 million, and that's shown on the bottom of page 13. That's an increase of around $14.7 million compared to prior year, and the details of that increase are shown on your statement of activities, commonly referred to as the income statement, on the bottom of page 14. The second component of the city's financial statements are your fund level financial statements. Those begin on page 15. Now, this component focuses on individual parts of the government, and they report the city's operations in more detail than that of the government-wide financial statements. Of primary interest to you all would be your general funds, since that accounts for the majority of the revenues received and funds expended. Page 15 shows the balance sheet of the city's governmental funds. General fund ended the year with total assets of around $12.6 million and total liabilities of $1.2 million. This resulted in ending fund balance of the general fund of around $11 million. That was around a $780,000 increase from prior year. Now, one thing to keep in mind when we're talking about fund balance, that doesn't mean necessarily that's the amount of cash that you have on hand at year end to spend as you see fit. Fund balance is the difference between assets and liabilities, only a portion of which is cash on hand. Additionally, another thing you need to consider with your general fund, the general fund on average incurs approximately $2.3 million of expenditures per month. So it's really good to see that you all have a strong enough fund balance in your general fund as of June 30 to cover those expenditures in the months of July through November when revenues are typically down before you get your property taxes for the year. If you turn to page 16, you'll see the statement of revenues, expenses, and change in fund balance for the governmental funds, commonly referred to as the income statement. Total revenues for the general fund were around $18.1 million. That was pretty flat compared to prior year. It was around a $100,000 decrease. As you would expect, the majority of these revenues were derived from property taxes and other taxes, such as your local options sales tax and your insurance premium tax. Those combined total around $10.6 million for the year. Other significant revenue sources, around $5.4 million in charges for services, $727,000 in fines and forfeitures, and $524 in franchise taxes. Midway down that page, you'll see the expenditures for the year, which total around $28.6 million in the general fund. Once again, no surprise, majority were expenditures for public safety, was around $14 million. You also had $4.8 million in public works expenditures and $4.6 million in general government. As has been the case in the prior years, the general fund had a significant amount of transfers in from both the electric and the water funds. That netted to approximately $11.3 million coming into the general fund. And down at the bottom of that page, you'll see the increase in the fund balance of $780,000 in the general fund that I alluded to earlier, which resulted in the ending fund balance of the general fund of $11 million. A couple other funds I just want to briefly mention are the city's three major enterprise funds, which are the water, wastewater, the electric utility, and the solid waste funds. If you'll turn to page 20, you'll see the balance sheet for these funds. These funds are used to account for operations similar to what you would see in a private sector business, where the goal is for these funds to generate sufficient operating revenues to cover their operating expenses. And with the income statement on page 22, you'll see that the wastewater fund and the electric utility fund continue to do quite well. The water wastewater fund had operating income around $10.8 million. Electric utility had operating income around $9.4 million, which is quite strong, and it's definitely what you want to see out of these funds. Even the solid waste fund, even though it had an operating loss of $460,000 for the year, included in that loss is depreciation expense, which is a non-cash item. So the solid waste fund, even though it had an operating loss, is still generating positive cash flows, as are the other two funds. So like I said, that's definitely what you want to see out of your enterprise funds. After the transfers out to the general fund I alluded to earlier, the water, wastewater fund, the electric utility fund ended the year with an increase in their net position of $7.4 million and $1.7 million respectively. And the solid waste had a small decrease of around $462,000. But once again, the majority of that decrease is your depreciation expense, which is a non-cash item. The third and final component of the city's financial statements are the footnotes. Those begin on page 29. There were no significant changes to this year compared to prior year with these footnotes. So unless anybody has any questions on those, I won't go into those in detail. You all were once again required to have a single audit this year. This is a compliance audit that's required when an entity expends over $750,000 in federal awards. You all had approximately $6.1 million of such federal expenditures for the year. Those are detailed out by federal grant beginning on page 135 of your financial statements. We are issuing a clean or unmodified opinion on this audit as well. And as was the case with the financial audit, we had no audit findings with a single audit. So that basically concludes my presentation. As you can see, there's quite a bit of information in this report. What I've tried to do is simply hit the highlights of what I think is the most important to you all. That being said, if there's something that I didn't touch base on that you have a question about, I'll be happy to address those. Again, I feel like this year's audit went extremely well. I just want to thank your staff for a job well done. We appreciate the opportunity to be of service to you and look forward to working with you next year.
Anybody have any questions? Anything you want to say? I will say, David, that I'm one of those sad people that actually read all this. I've read it all. And
It's
for those,
impressive.
for those assembled here this evening, if you've dealt with auditors, you know their job is to find. And when you find nothing, like we did here, we have an audit with no findings, means they couldn't find mistakes or errors. And for the 12th year in a row, the city of Griffin has received the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Accounting. That's a great tribute to Mr. Smith, the manager, Mr. Marcus, and all the team here to do this. So I'd like to publicly thank our total financial team and all the other employees that we go through an audit with no findings and another excellent report. And I think it's important for us as public elected officials that everybody in the city know that we can literally account for every penny of the money that comes and goes, and we're proud of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Sorry, moved a couple back to move him ahead, but I hope you at least appreciate the fact that we did have an excellent audit and we're proud of it. Let's go back to the original item 3 now, which is to recognize the 2016 Leadership Development Institute graduates. Human Resources Director Miles Neville and Fire Chief Tommy Jones will address. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's once again a pleasure to be and present our graduates of the City of Griffin's Leadership Development Institute. This is our Class 8, and we are just so pleased to have been a part of this program. We had an outstanding group of city and county employees, and once again, we can tell you that we just got a lot to look forward to. We told this to the county commissioners last night, that this has been a wonderful group. We had a full house. We had to turn people away, and we're so pleased that this program has been so successful over the years. Our program is broken into many different things. We throw about everything we can at them. Introduction to basic leadership, personality profiles, effective communications, and in those two issues, we had 3 PhDs from Gordon and Middle State Georgia University come in and help us out. Financial independence with Brent Huckabee of BB&T Bank. Managing marginal employees, a friend of ours in the Department of Correction, Marsha Williams. Dealing with the boss from you-know-where, Mr. Smith. I had a day talking about success principles, and of course, Mr. Neville was talking about human resources leadership. But we're so proud to recognize Class 8 of the City of Griffin's Leadership Development Institute, and now Miles is going to come up and give some diplomas out.
Before you start that, Miles, let me recognize County Manager William Wilson sitting out there, and I'm proud to say that 6 of the members of this class were county employees, and I'm very happy that we can supply this training to the county also. It's a team effort here, and we appreciate the partnership.
Well, I came tonight to support my group and also to let the city know that we appreciate you allowing us to participate in these classes with you. It's a great thing. It's been going on for a few years now, and it helps to get the city and county employees to know each other so they can work collaboratively for the benefit of the community.
Thank you, William. Okay, Miles, sorry.
Okay. Without further ado, I'm going to call the graduates out alphabetically. Some are not here. I know which ones are not here, though, so we'll just leave their stuff on the table. First is graduate is Karen Bennett, works in the Planning and Development Department with the city. Oh, and hold your applause to the end.
Okay.
Because I don't want one person to get more applause than the other, then they might not feel good, and this whole thing might have just been for nothing.
Everyone's got to get equal, it's entitled to equal applause, right? Thank you, sir.
Number 2, Mary Carricker, works in the Human Resources Department. Woo-hoo.
Hey, Mary.
Number 3 is Jacoya Klink-Scales. She is not here today. She's with the county in Parks and Recreation. Number 4, Willie Daniel, works for the Water and Wastewater Department. Next, we have Danny English, Electric Department. Next, we have Michael Heath. He is not here today. He's with Code Enforcement with the county. Then we have Mr. Todd Howard, Police Department. Then we have Mr. Doug McKinney, IT. Nathan Miller, Griffin Fire Rescue. Reggie Moreland, Electric Department. And you got the good shirt, Reggie. He knows what I mean. Stan Phillips, Police Department. Then we have Stephanie Phillips, 911 with the county. We have Jennifer Romes, Planning and Development, Code Enforcement. Mr. Will Stevens, Airport. Next, we have Little Israel Thompson, Fire, Griffin Fire Rescue.
Tiny.
Then we have Miss Betty Todd. She's with our motor pool.
You might want to get off them steroids, you know.
Oh, man. Makes you look small, you know that?
Christy Tamarchio, she's with our customer service department.
That's my old gym buddy right there. She don't come to the gym anymore, though. She stopped coming to the
And last but certainly not least, we have Anthony Washington, works with the Spalding County Jail, right, Anthony? Correctional Institute.
Title.
Now you can clap. Thanks, y'all.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, as these folks go back to their seat, I want to note that these graduates care enough about their jobs and their careers to spend their own time and do this, upgrade their skills, and we're very proud of that. So thank you all.
Where you going?
Going to see Karen. I'm gonna have to meet her outside. Going to see Curtis.
You're going on the inside?
That, might need to go over.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we move on, the original number 4, recognize Carly Perez, Environmental Technician with the Stormwater Department as the October 2016 Strong New Flink Award recipient, and Dr. Brant Keller, Director of Public Works, will address. Good evening, Dr. Keller.
Good evening. I'm going to let the person that presented, Carly, make the presentation, and I just happen to have this because somebody gave it to me. So, James, you want to come up? Come on, Carly.
All right. Director of our Stormwater, James Moore.
Hey, good evening. I'd like to introduce you guys to Carly Perez. You guys probably don't know her, because she's only been with the city since April. Matter of fact, until tonight, she didn't actually know where the courtroom was. So that's probably a good thing. So we are sort of taking the steps and put someone forward for this award that's been here such a short period of time, because she's made a rather large impact on our organization in a short period of time. For those of you that don't know, we approximately 4.5 years ago, we started to adopt the HyperWeb system in the stormwater side and public works generally. This has been a system that's been used to manage work on the electric department for a long time. We are the first city in the state of Georgia that's done it on stormwater. So we're kind of breaking new ground here, and we've had some challenges along the way. Square pegs, round holes. So Carly joins us having never worked for city government, never having done stormwater. And not only did she take this challenge and run with it, she has actually taken it upon herself to take her other team members to train them up. So we have folks who've been here in the city for 15, 16 years who we wouldn't let near a computer, who are now sitting there opening, closing out work orders, and generally making things work better. And I give Carly all the credit for that. So,
Fantastic.
And we're not done yet.
not done yet.
The link in the chat. Woo-hoo! Come on, Brad.
I get the picture.
This change or lose next month or the next person. This starting this like birdhouse, you get Griffin, she get away. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff. The lighting is scary. You have on your. How about a waistband? One of those about 4 inches, 6 inches wide, that holds that waistband. That's so cool. That's how you get power moving.
That's right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're down to citizens' comments. I'll open the floor to comments from the audience. Should relate to specific agenda items not listed for a public hearing or to concern within the jurisdiction of the city. Our meetings for the purpose of conducting city business, not a forum for unlimited expression of opinion. You do reserve the right to limit your comments and may refer you to the manager. We're down to our core team, it looks like. Does anybody out there want to come forward and make any comments?
William wants to.
William's had his turn. You want another turn, William?
Come on, William.
Okay. All right, moving on. Public hearings, there
Mr. Chairman,
are.
you might want to back up to the financials. We skipped over Mr. Schwab's
I did. I
financials,
always
item
skip at least
6.
one thing. I'm sorry, I got so excited.
I thought he left.
Now, Marcus out there,
That's it.
you want to quickly review the financials after that glowing audit? You can, there's nowhere to go up, you know.
Yes, sir. Well, okay, if we want to do this briefly, do we have any questions about any of the documents attached to the agenda item?
Are there any surprises?
Always.
I didn't see any surprises.
After that?
No, it's boring, okay?
I thought.
The only document that I think would bear more comment on would be the projections for the general fund, and that's in that quarterly status report. And it's always a good picture as to where we might go. That's all dependent upon the election. Another less than 30 minutes, we'll find out.
Thank you for what you do, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Another award of achievement and excellence. All right, thank you. All right, thank goodness I didn't skip you. Public hearings are none. Consent agenda, there are 5 items on the consent agenda.
Make a motion, we approve item 7 through 11, sir.
Okay, we have a motion to approve all 7. Is there a second? Or all 5, I mean?
Second.
Second. Anybody wish to discuss any or have them removed? Not all in favor, please raise your hand. It's 6-0. So done. Regular agenda. Item number 12. Consider awarding the asbestos inspection bid to Anderson Environmental to provide asbestos testing services prior to demolition, and Mr. Kirk, Tucson Kirk, will address it. You want to see Mr. Kirk?
Good evening.
Evening.
This is a contract that we definitely need to move forward with the nuisance abatement program, and also the airport's going to use these services as well. Anderson Environmental came in with the lowest responsible bid for this RFP, and we just recommend approval of this consultant.
I thought the offer was a very, very competitive price. I was impressed.
Make a motion to approve.
Yeah.
Mr. Holberg, a motion to approve. Mr. McCord, a second. Discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Thank you, Toussaint. As we do each year, we have, consider a traffic signal maintenance contract with Wilburn Engineering LLC, lowest and best bid. How say you?
I'd like to make a motion to approve with the question.
Mr. Holberg to approve with the questions, or second?
Second.
Mr. Brock with second. What's your question, sir?
I don't know if it's for Dan or for Brant. The interfacing of the off-system, is this for the off-system signals or that interface with the DOT system? Is for everything?
No DOT, it's just all off.
It's just off. So they all interface together, correct? So it's.
Contract only made anything, our off-system lights.
But our lights seem to be able to track through quicker, but a lot of times where they're supposed to be able to sense and let you get on and move on with life, it seems that we're spending a lot more time at intersections waiting for the signal to change. So I don't know if that's due to the DOT lights or whether they're not quite tweaking them enough or the sensitivity enough of the.
I can't hear you, Brant. What?
And I understand that, but some of our signals that aren't on, our off-system signals are just sitting there. Sometimes you'll sit there 35 seconds to a minute where before they were working where as soon as you pulled up, it hit the sensor or the, so I don't know if.
There are a lot of synchronization issues that.
So that was. So when we approved, move forward with those different intersection lines, those intersection projects, it was due. Okay, so just, thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, sir.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, 6-0. 14, consider Electric Cities of Georgia year-end settlement in the amount of $12,535.77 and direct ECG to distribute the funds of the city's ECG subscription to education, training, and development.
Make a motion to approve.
Mr. Brock with the motion. Ms. Ward with the second. Any questions, discussions? All in favor? 6-0. 15, consider approval of a project framework agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation, PI number 0015101 for the concept scoping project of the intersection of Searcy Avenue, High Falls Road, East Solomon Street for Public Works and Utilities Department. Cora says yay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, I thought so. Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Ms. Ward. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay.
We have a flyover out here.
A flyover? Okay. Item 16, consider approval of a design-build contract with Mallory and Evans Service Company for the design, engineering, and construction of a replacement of the existing HVAC system in 1 Griffin Center. Hooray.
Motion approved.
Motion, Ms. Ward, to approve.
Second with a question.
Second, Mr. Holberg with question.
So did we already approve the spending of the money for the system with the company?
You approved the.
HVAC?
You approved the bid solicitation.
This is approving that contract.
Contract.
Okay.
So we put it out to bid, excuse me, I'm in bad shape here. Put it out to bid, you like that?
Correct.
Wow. We put it out to bid and they got the lowest bid, but then we had to negotiate the contract because it is a design build, so, and everything worked out within budget.
So it's under budget?
Yes, by about $100.
$100?
$100.
Yeah.
Way to go, Phil.
Phil, I don't think we've collectively seen you since your father passed, and we're all very sorry. I hope you know that.
Thank you very much. Everyone was real kind, and the flowers were beautiful.
Any further discussion? All in favor? It's 6-0. Item 17, consider a purchase agreement between the City of Griffin and Spalding Concrete Company, Inc. to purchase 14.31 plus or minus acres tax map parcel 003A01002, also known as 1120 North Hill Street, in the amount of $225,000.
Motion approved.
Mr. Ward with the motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Holberg, the second. Any discussion, comments? All in favor, please raise your hand. 6-0. Okay, now hope we can make that shine like we did next doors at the electric department. 18, consider revised organizational charts for realignment of personnel in municipal court and transfer of personnel from police department to municipal court. Before we do that, I'll have to admit, when I looked at that org chart, I didn't figure out yet where the municipal personnel people were.
We simply are taking 1.5 records clerks from the police department criminal investigative division and putting them in the municipal court division.
Now, I got it. I was looking for something to be added, and I just realized like a dummy.
We added 1.5 to the court, took 1.5 away
from the police department.
Actually, we added 2.5 to the court, took 1.5 of those from the PD, and we'll have to pull one from the outside to make up the other one in court.
Well,
How many were already in the police department? Clerk?
Records clerks, 4-ish, I think.
Okay.
Miles is gone. I think there were 4.
Where will their offices all be now?
Right through that
So
double door.
that's where
right
you're gonna
there.
be doing that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We'll have the municipal court office right here.
And so folks will pay their fines and everything here,
Yes, sir.
even for the tickets if they just wanna pay them?
Everything, yes, sir, will be
they'll-
handled in this building.
So they'll come through the customer service entrance?
Yes.
So if
Except
you
on
see a
court.
half a person run around, please understand they used to work over at the police department.
That's right.
Make a motion to approve, sir.
Mr. Brock, motion approved.
I've already had it. You wanna have that?
I don't think so.
Okay, never mind.
Right, a second?
Second, that's a second. I wanna make sure I second it then.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, 6-0. I think you've handled that well, Kenny. I know it's a tough issue, but I think
We're making progress.
you're making
Yes, sir.
progress.
At
Thank
the
you.
workshop this month, could we do a little walkthrough of that at the end of the meeting, just to see how it's all laid out? Or will it be ready by
We don't have it laid out yet.
Okay, never mind.
We'll start construction soon on
Okay.
making a few alterations in there, but hopefully by the December meeting we can.
Okay,
Okay. Item 19, consider the amended budget for the municipal court for the remainder of fiscal year 17.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Holberg, Mr. McCord, second to read over do the amended budget. Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Item number 20, consider denial of liability for the wrongful death of Ms. Shirley Munson, who was injured, subsequently died from injuries sustained in a car accident on May 10, 2016, at the intersection North 15th Street and West Broad Street. Anti-litem notice dated October 20, 2016, from Attorney Mark G. Pitts of Kenneth S. Nugent, P.C. Have a motion to deny the liability.
Make a motion to deny.
Mr. Holberg with a motion to deny.
Second.
Ms. Ward with a second. Any discussion? All in favor of denial? 5, all approving. Okay, 5-1. Item 20, consider denial of a claim by Bob Gilreath given by email directed to Kenny Smith, city manager, dated October 20, 2016, which Mr. Gilreath states that his intent to file a lawsuit against the city and the Salvation Army. Do we have a motion to deny?
Motion to deny.
Mr. Ward with a motion to deny. Second, Mr. Brock.
What's Mr. McCord gonna do here?
I'm gonna step out.
All right.
You need to leave the room for a second?
Do we have to vote?
Yes, we have to vote. I'm gonna watch
Let's
here.
do it.
All in favor of the denial, please raise your hand. All opposed?
Oh, my goodness.
All right, Salvation Army, hang on.
I'm not an insurance adjuster for the last time.
This wasn't an insurance issue. This was,
This is wasn't a anti-litem?
Yeah.
no, he did
Well,
not
it's
file.
just a non-anti-litem.
He's gonna,
His notice was not in accordance with the requirements of the anti-litem notice statute, put it that way.
You want to change your vote?
So it will be
We're
sent
gonna put
to
it on
the
the
manager's
next
email.
time.
I'm gonna
Put it,
I'm gonna see you.
run it back, run it
You
back.
can't run it back.
You gotta vote for Bob, you gotta vote for
No,
Bob.
I don't.
You voted for Bob.
I thought y'all said it was an anti-litem. It's not an anti-litem?
You should read.
It's an,
You change your
it's a
vote?
message of intent to
You
sue.
can't change your vote, it already recorded.
He has every right to sue
You have to
according to
bring-
your
you have to bring
philosophy
it back
and
next
theory.
time.
Okay,
Go ahead.
it's 5-1. Mr. McCord. All right, city manager's report.
I just wanna,
It is embarrassing. I thought it was y'all slipped that one in.
You felt like you're voting today, holding your nose.
Be quiet.
We love you, twice in one day. Good job.
Okay, we're having too much fun here. What do you got going, Mr. Smith?
I'm sure like you, I wanna thank and congratulate Mr. Schwab and his team. Excellent financial team that he has and he leads, and, we appreciate the work that they do. Great job on that. Also, I wanna thank Tommy and, Miles for the great job they do on LDI.
Amen.
They put an awful lot of time in that, and it's really a successful program. Just a few reminders, Veterans Day ceremony Friday at 4. We mentioned Dr. Peters' reception the 17th, that's at 5:30, and that's immediately before our Citizens Government Academy graduation, which is at 6:30 at the Welcome Center. So that'll be a busy night. And update you on Raymond Head Park, new lights are installed. If you haven't been by there after dark, it is lit up. And we have a couple left to put over on the Ann Street side where it's a little dark corner over there, but that has a new look. So we appreciate the electric department jumping on that.
Is there curfew in place now? You know, we talked about putting a curfew over there, the same as we do for City Park.
Oh, I mean, the
Hours
the
of
park
the
hours
posted
are the
parks as
same as
opposed
they
to-
are in all parks,
Okay.
yes, sir. I think
That
it
helps out
stops
significantly.
at 10 o'clock, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., I believe.
Does that help resolve some of the issues?
We haven't had any serious issues lately. I don't know if that did it or not, but it's been calm. That's it.
Mr. Whalen.
Just very briefly, you've already had a couple of agenda items related to the changes you're making here with your municipal court. This month's, Georgia Cities magazine from GMA has about 4 articles talking about the liability issues, the lawsuits and litigation that's springing up around the country involving municipal courts. I would commend that to you to read those articles. GMA is going to make this one of their big pushes in the coming year to provide service and education to not only the elected officials, but the city staffs, and I think you're gonna have special training coming up in January at Mayor's Day, so.
Well, once again, we're ahead of the curve. Thanks.
We are ahead of the curve, thank goodness.
All right. The rest of the state, once again, will be trying to catch up with Griffin. Anything else?
That's all.
Mr. Holberg, it's good to see you walking around.
I'm a very blessed man, and I'm going to give a shout out to Spalding Regional Hospital, Saturday ER room. They're a first-class organization over there, and just, God gave me a great gift.
Well, you've become quite intimately involved with the emergency room, aren't you?
Not lately, but just recently.
Okay, Mr. McCord.
Hope everybody got a chance to get out and vote today. Again, want to second the emotion of Mr. Smith and the staff working on our audit, and that's all I have.
I want to thank the staff. Kenny, proud of you for what you do, and the staff. I've been on this board now for 11 months, and I am just astounded at what you folks do on a daily basis. I was with a big organization, Cotton State Insurance Company, for 30 years. I've never seen the unity, the camaraderie, and the professionalism that I see with the staff that we have in Griffin, Georgia. Proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Ms. Flowers.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think I said it publicly, but, I am elated and proud of how intersection number 1 looks. It's beautiful, and I am really excited about the fact that y'all started knocking those other buildings down. I think that's the best thing going in the city of Griffin.
2020 by 2020. Gotta make it happen.
All right, I'm going to second the Veterans Day invite this Friday at 4 o'clock. Please come down to Veterans Memorial Park for a ceremony honoring our veterans, of which I'm a proud one. So spend an hour out of your year to come down and recognize the veterans. We always have a nice patriotic program, Like I say, it's only about an hour, so come join us. And bring kids and grandkids so that they actually understand possibly what this means. Today, we had another accident at Hill and Taylor. An 18-wheeler that was approximately 390 feet long tried to turn the corner, as they all do. Hit a car. I saw him run over our curbs and our bushes and knock down a sign. I'm sick and tired of 18-wheelers on that turn. I think we need to seriously look at removing the state highway designation on South Hill and make it a city street only. That is Business US 41 and stuff. So it's been resurfaced now. But I think we need to remove the highway from that part of it and get those people out of south part of town on that turn. So we'll work on North Hill and the highway there, continue that process, but it's, to me, way overdue to get rid of the 18-wheelers on the South Hill Street in that way. I agree with intersection 1. I think it's excellent job. I would have one comment. I think the signage is lacking. I went up the other day. I actually hadn't been there some time, and I missed the turn out the, I was looking around, and so it's easy to miss the turn to get out on Hill. Also coming downhill, there's no real signage that says to the overpass, you know, so if people get in the habit of turning off, coming over the bridge and stop being blocked by trains, but I think the signage up there could be a little better to help people realize there's a alternate route. So you look at it if you agree, that's fine. And again, Tommy and Miles, thank you for an awesome job, and Marcus, same. So I agree with you, David. Great staff. All right. Hopefully the poll's closing in 6 minutes. Our nightmare is almost over. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
So moved, sir.
Motion second. All please rise.